Okay, so today what we're going to do is take you through some exercises on how to build bigger arms. So guys, one of the biggest things they want, bigger arms. In reality, one of the big mistakes people need to think about is in regards to resistance profiles and how like dumbbells and barbells technically aren't the greatest piece of equipment to use in terms of building your biceps. Why? And triceps. Why? Because if you think about it from a basic point of view, when you hold a dumbbell at the bottom position, there's no load. And as you come up into the middle part of the movement, it's going to be its heaviest. And again, as you come into the middle, at the top, it's then going to drop off. So what we really want to have is a consistent tension put throughout the muscle, which is why I'm going to take you through today some killer cable exercises to build your biceps, your triceps, so you can build big arms and not have any joint problems and do it with speed and certainty. So exercise number one is a single arm cable curl. So what we want to be focused on here, this is obviously killer for building your biceps, and we're going to do it one arm at a time. A lot of these exercises are going to be unilateral. Why? Because it helps you balance out for your physique and make sure you don't have any lopsidedness. Now, in the reality, what we want to focus on here is having the cable at the bottom position and try and step forward away from the cable machine so we have tension already at the bottom before we even move. From that point of view, you really want to have a slight lean forward, brace your abs, and then think about keeping your elbow back as you curl and push your hand up and away from you. And then again, what's really important with all these exercises is tempo. So a great way to really activate a muscle if you find you're struggling to train your biceps or your triceps is hold at the top range of the motion or wherever you're getting the biggest contractions, like the short range of motion, and you'll feel the muscle working a lot harder. We're going to go into a tricep variation of this. So it's basically the opposite. Now these two exercises work great as a superset. So you could do one single arm cable curl and then you go into a single arm press down. Now, what's the key here? What you want to do is you want to stand close to the cable machine, use your other hand to support yourself, keep your abs braced, keep your elbow tucked in, and what we want to see is no elbow movement. The elbow should be like stuck to your side almost, and we want to try and get full flexion and extension. So we want to come all the way up, and then come all the way down and squeeze at the bottom to get the most out of your tricep development. Next up, we're going to go into another tricep exercise. We're going to go into a dual cable tricep extension. So here, we're going to want to set the cables up at the highest point you can, and what we're going to do is we're going to reach across. We're going to take the cable on the left side in your right hand, cable on the right side in your left hand. You want to probably take a few steps back. Now, what's really important here again is elbow position. So with all arm training, all we're thinking about is flexing, is moving our forearm almost, and we want to try and keep our elbow static. So with this movement, what we want to do is bend from the knees and the hips, and then keep the elbows tucked in, and we're going to try and pull out wide rather than try and keep tucked in, because our natural plane of movement is to come out. We want to work joints and muscles in the natural plane of movement, not try and force them in a different position. This is why bars aren't very good for your joints or for building muscles in a lot of respect. Because if you think of a skull crusher, like our elbows don't necessarily want to go in that twisted motion or in a lot of things. And same with the barbell curl. Like our arms want to move freely, and our natural plane of motion for our arms is to do this. It's not to come here. We're having to force that, which is going to put tension and stress through our joints. Our arms will naturally want to come in and out like that, or out, not in a straight line necessarily. So next up, we're going to go an overhead single arm cable extension. Now this is a great exercise to take a lat through a full range of motion. So we want to almost overemphasize pushing our hand up at the start and then dropping our hand behind our head. The key with this is having the cable machine set up at the correct height. So you want to have the cable set up so it's at your height, your scapula, your shoulder blade, and you want to take about 2 steps away from it, and then you want to have the cable running behind your head, so it's pulling, the cable's effectively almost pulling through your opposite shoulder, and that's going to give you a nice range of motion, and it's going to get the joint to work in the correct angle, which is going to protect your elbow joint firstly, and also help you build maximal muscle. Now this exercise in particular is really good for feeling the stretch of the bottom end of motion. So what I would suggest you do when you get to the bottom is you actually have a slight squeeze where you try and squeeze your biceps to get a full stretch and then fully extend at the top. Okay, so last up for biceps, we have now got a standing single arm cable curl, but we're going to have our arms slightly elevated and slightly higher. So again, we want the cable at a high point, and we're going to pull our hands towards our head. Now, Charlie, why are we going to have our elbows slightly higher up? Well, one of the actual actions of the bicep is to extend and lift our arm and our shoulder. So if we want to get a muscle fully short, our bicep, we actually need some extension here. So we need our arms slightly above our shoulder height, and then to come in here will allow us to get as short as possible. So what you can do is actually take your hand behind your head, and that will allow you to get a full range of motion and go through there. Again, this is one of those exercises which is all about feeling the muscle and keeping the weight controllable. An easy tip for all of these bicep curl variations, if you want to try and target the inside of your bicep, think about squeezing through your little finger. It will make a big difference. So I feel, for example, my left-hand side, I struggle to contract the inside of my bicep. So I really try and focus on clamping down and squeezing through the inside of my hand more to try and target those fibers more specifically. So last exercise, we're going to have another bicep one. So this is a cool new one I've just started, and it's called a rope hammer curl, but single arm. So anyone knows I'm a big fan of dumbbell hammer curl. Great exercise for building our brachialis outside of our bicep. However, as we discussed at the start of the video, dumbbells aren't necessarily optimal. So if we're using a cable, we're going to do single arm cable curl. What we want to do is we want to stand away from the machine. So again, we've got a load at the bottom, which you wouldn't have with a dumbbell, and you can come and pull through the full range of motion. Again, the constant tension from the cable is going to be much more optimal in terms of developing muscle tissue and putting tension through the muscle through the shortened, fully lengthened and mid-range than a dumbbell would. So this is a great exercise, and again, single arm is hugely effective. These are 6 exercises to help you blow up your arms using just cables, which can be far superior to using dumbbells or barbells in particular. Let me know what you think of the video. Drop me a comment below how you get on these exercises. Make sure you smash the subscribe, and we'll see you next video.